Yeah, I guess I could. Oh! Well, I guess I didn't want to rush this. Hey everybody, what's up? This is Retrokid Reviews, in the flesh for a long time for anyone who's seen back-to-back figure review forms. Not done yet. I got one more to do with the Mission Impossible series this weekend, and then hopefully I can squeeze in some time for non-spoilers for The Accountant 2. So, with upcoming content out of the way, let's just get this out of the way. My overall thoughts with The Last of Us Season 2, more specifically in this show's case, the first 2 episodes of Season 2. What do I think of it, and what do I think of the sequel now 5 years later? What's there to start with the Joel scene, but there is a whole week before said scene, so we'll get to that in a minute. So, yeah, I think this is the closest thing to, like, Abby's gear I think I have, as one, an old school Zuru I want to say X-Shot Nerf Blaster, and a real Nerf version of probably a gem flipped Abby. Speaking of the said Abby of the room, Caitlin Dever is doing probably the best television I think she will ever have in her career. Excuses of the food aside. What can I not say that hasn't already been said about part 2 game-wise? The Laura Bailey situation of it all, how much has changed in the last 5 years game reception-wise versus now. I should also know the no return mode from the remaster that just got their PC port, I think, earlier last week, or I think a few weeks ago by the time this comes out recording-wise, is really good. It has part 1 characters coming back. I think it was Bill and Marlena, because, again, the new season was about to drop, and they wanted to, I guess, have show watchers play, I guess, a roguelike version of the gameplay. Who knows, honestly. Let's start with episode 1 before we get to Through the Valley of it all with episode 2. Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal did a really good job recreating pretty much the opening hours. Both weeks' episodes are basically the opening hours of part 2, in case anyone's asking. And there were some new additions. The obvious breach attack on the infected going into Jackson. The whole Jackson fight for this week's episode we'll get to in a minute. That being said, Joel and Ellie being a little distant after everything that happened in Season 1. For game watchers, you know why, and I think we might have got robbed of that conversation. Again, time will tell for flashbacks-wise. For the rest of this season and next season. There's the reason why I said next season, because I think it was reported that both seasons 2 and 3 are going to be splitting up part 2 with a lot of good reason behind it. And so, yeah, last minutes before anyone is up to date with this week's episode. It's still worth the watch. It's still very nuanced with this kind of like storytelling with the violence and everything. I think even the podcasts and Neil himself is trying to like, I guess, change what was essentially a lot of Abby's motivation that pissed off fans early on when the game dropped back in 2020. Me, however, how I felt about that was a little bitter, I'll admit, but we'll get to that when we get to episode 2. The rest of episode 1, again, like I said, is the opening hours of the game. I think Patrol Routes was a little different. I think the grocery store that showed the smart clicker, now known in the fandom, Stalkers, I think was a little bit different. I think it was later on, or I think the lead up before the storm in this week's episode. Speaking of said storm, it was a lot. The blizzard was about the same. The fencing with all the blockage with the infected going up against Abby going to see Joel, essentially is very different. Not much from the game. I think the only thing was like a scenario was a little off, like she lost a hat along the way, but she still kept it. I don't know how that was the continuity of it. Oh, who knows. Speaking of said Abby, Caitlin Dever, I only knew a handful of her work. I think it was mostly TV stuff until this week when I found out that she was, I think the last voice acting credit was for the Uncharted game being Drake's kid later down the road in a post-cred playable scene from that franchise. So, that being said, I'll get to other people in the cast that is going to be seen a lot for the remainder of the season. Yeah, Isabel Morissette, I previously talked about in the Alien Romulus review. She is having a fantastic 2024 and 2025 as far as upcoming projects go. She not only has this, and like I said last year with Alien Romulus, she also has Superman, I think, coming out in July, the day of the Corn Sweat, James Gunn one. I think she's going to be Hawkgirl in that. So she's going to be very busy, not listening to probably what the fans are probably talking about right now after this week's episode. So, final thoughts on episode 1. It's a good table dressing to see where everyone's been since the last 5 years in between in the story versus the 2 years here show-wise. And ironically, in real time-wise, with part 2. So with all that, I guess, hyperbole out of the way, let's get to my overall thoughts with Joel's death in this episode. So like I said, spoilers coming up, and it's not exactly one-to-one from the game. It's exactly pretty much the kill itself is a little different, not by much. Also patrol routes, I think, were a little different. Also, I think everyone's mentioned. I think Rockstar's probably got a video of that out, and a bunch of other channels as well. My personal take, this was the hardest spoiler to keep from my mom, who was also watching the show new at the time with me as of this recording, and to hold that that scene from her for 2 years versus the 5 of knowing it in total game-wise. It's a lot, but she's taking it just fine. I'm still going to explain probably the feud of Abby and Ellie going on down the road for the next, was it 4 episodes? Yeah, grand total, I think this week, this season is going to be 7, and I think 7 also for the remainder of probably season 3. And there's a pretty good amount of reasons why. So game spoilers here if you don't want to play. It's 20 plus hours of basically seeing Ellie's side of the story, and then another additional, I want to say 10, seeing Abby's. I don't know the grand total. I haven't speedrun the game in years, so go with that as you will. Outside of that, gameplay-wise is about the same in the combat you see in the show itself. Like I said, the only addition for this week's episode was Jackson being breached. There was a minor scuffle at the early end of the opening hours of the game as well, but smaller stakes, smaller fencing, smaller everything when it came to Jackson. It did open up later on, I guess when Abby was talking to Maria and everybody to see if she was approved to go and find Abby and start her vengeance quest, essentially. Yeah, as far as the cast who are reprising, I guess, the race swap versions of Maria and Tommy, they look great as well. Gabriel Luna, and I want to issue an apology for anyone who saw my Captain America Brave New World review. I might have misnamed him and Danny Ramirez, who was doing both, I think in Gabriel's case, obviously Tommy, and in Daniel's case, was oh my goodness, Manny, because and also I think the short list of people who were in the room taking out Joel in the lodge in this week's episode was, I think, lower tier numbers, because I think almost all of them game-wise you could play in no return, and I think they wanted to lower, like, I guess make a more intimate situation of what Abby did to Joel. And yeah, the kill itself, let's just get this out of the way. I'm not going to do the Joel in one meme, mainly because it has been played out. It's been 5 years. Amazing memes like that last longer than 5 years at this point, but that's just me with my age. So yeah, she played it out a little better. The only change there this week than it was in the game is that Troy Baker's version of Joel said, "No, just get to it. Screw the speech. Just let's have it out now." And, no, she held the space a little longer. I think internally in, Pedro's version is like, "Oh, yeah, You know, Ellie's not listening to me. I don't even know why I'm here. Yeah, let's just do it." I think that he was trying to, like, body language-wise, was trying to show more regret at what he was doing, back in Season 1 coming into this. So, that might be the reason. There'll probably be interviews explaining that a little bit longer, as far as, like, what the room was when it was shooting it. Outside of that, that's really it. The rest of the scene still plays out. You still have Ellie discovering everything, still gets her ass kicked, and still has to take Joel back to Jackson to get buried. So for the next couple of weeks on, I'm going to be back probably for the finale, so I can talk about the rest of what I remember of part 2, because I am going to probably now, after a few years, probably replay the game. I probably will only just play No Return, if anything changes story-wise, unless that Tommy DLC, I think I tried to will that into existence too, does become a thing again. I don't think so. I know the original voice actor, Tommy, heard that at the Red Carpet for Season 2 is like, yeah, I'm waiting on that too, actually. So, trying to be, I guess, positive to what was probably the darkest scene HBO has done since Game of Thrones, which is ironic since we're talking about Pedro here. End card's finally coming up to me trying to, I guess, revitalize a pre-X-Shot Zuru Blaster to the shorts, where I was talking about, speaking of X-Shot, that upcoming AEB Blaster. Not at all trying to look like I look like work at or live in Jackson. Gear here to sub to the channel, hit the notification bell down below. Last hand here to the end cards for previous reviews, which is obviously speaking of television, Daredevil Born Again season finale, my overall thoughts of the season as a whole. Quick reminder, the Count It review is going to be this phase, but when we go back to the retro review finale for Mission Impossible 3, that's going to be figure form related. Just going to let you guys know in advance right there. So with that all being said, take care, subscribe, and more importantly, oh boy, do I wish not to be Caitlin Dever's social media team right now for the next couple of hours. Just saying.